Investing. We have to do it. It's the only way we can preserve the value of our hard-earned dollars, and if we aren't investing, we're doing our future selves a huge disservice. But investing is easier said than done. It's one of many financial objectives and obligations we face on a monthly basis. When you need to pay the rent, utilities, insurance, credit card bills, and keeping yourself fed, investing in the S&P 500 might not be at the forefront of your mind. So in this video, let's talk about how you can prioritize where you put your paycheck every month in order to improve your financial position. First things first, the part that isn't fun, financial obligations, which is a fancy way of saying bills. There isn't too much to say about bills other than the obvious fact that they take priority. You need a roof over your head, you need utilities, and you need whatever service is crucial to your routine. Think gym membership or daycare. As for non-essential monthly expenses, I've never been one to promote extreme frugality. You have to live your life and enjoy it for that matter. So don't feel you can never go out to dinner or can't treat yourself to that pair of shoes you've been wanting. Just be reasonable. I do feel the need to quickly say, if you're currently living paycheck to paycheck, I understand that financial pressure, and saving money every month may not be feasible, let alone investing it. Know that you're not alone. Some estimates have 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck, and less than 60% own stocks. So consider this. There are two things to focus on. Number one, increasing your earned income, and number two, living below your means. These two topics could be videos on their own, so I'll just generally say, if you can't currently save, these two things must take priority over everything else in this video. With that said, the first place to store your money is in an emergency fund. This is money set aside that will alleviate the financial pressure from unexpected events like losing your job. I'm sure most of us have seen the onslaught of tech layoffs this quarter, and we could be seeing many more if other industries follow in cutting costs. Jobs are at stake, which means income isn't a sure thing. Being prepared is key. If you're wondering how much money to set aside, an adequate emergency fund will be large enough to cover 3 to 6 months of expenses, but I don't see the harm of saving up to 9 months given all the uncertainty in today's economy. A great place to house your emergency fund is in a high-yield savings account. Because interest rates are on the rise, these accounts are offering competitive interest on your deposits that make traditional savings accounts look like your great-grandpa's mattress. Oh, and given that over 40% of Americans are unprepared for a recession, do not overlook this step. Next up, your general savings for big purchases. These are your house down payments, cars, and other things that take a while to accumulate the funding. Like your emergency fund, a high-yield savings account is perfect. Your money will be accessible while still benefiting from above average interest. Now, I don't necessarily believe saving up for big purchases should take priority over investing in assets, but I recognize most people value these purchases as milestones in their life, and reaching our personal milestones is important. Investing is a given. Where to invest is less than given. So ranking priority here is going to be a matter of advantages each investing account offers. First priority, your 401k or other employer-sponsored retirement account. If your employer matches a percentage of your compensation, max this out. It's the closest thing to free money, and when you think about it, it's a quick way to earn 100% on your investment. Even though the 401k is a staple employee benefit, not everyone maximizes it, which is unfortunate, despite what you may hear from sales reps pushing whole life insurance. Besides employer matching, the advantage of your 401k is the tax deferment. Your 401k contributions are before tax money, so you defer paying said tax until you're prepared to make withdrawals in retirement. After your 401k, invest in an individual retirement account, or IRA. There's two types, traditional and Roth. The main difference between the two is their taxation. Traditional IRAs are like 401ks in that taxes are deferred, but Roth IRAs are after-tax contributions, so you enjoy tax-free earnings upon retirement. Whether you should pick a traditional or a Roth is a more nuanced decision, but it really comes down to this question. Do you think you'll be in a lower tax bracket now than when you retire? If you answer yes, a Roth IRA makes sense. One note for you higher earners out there, you may not be allowed to contribute to a Roth IRA. As of this year, if you make $144,000 plus, you do not qualify. But you can still use a traditional IRA or take advantage of something called a backdoor IRA. When it comes to retirement accounts, the money you invest is as long-term as it gets. You'll be waiting till you reach retirement before accessing your funds or risk penalties. These are disincentives to keep your money invested, and some people think this is a huge drawback to retirement accounts, but I disagree. Remember that what makes investing so powerful is compound interest. The longer you allow money to compound, the more impactful the compounding. So when people withdraw retirement funds early, they disrupt the compound interest that's working on their behalf. The existence of early withdrawal penalties makes someone think twice. But sometimes financial hardships force our hand. According to CNBC, half of retirement account holders have taken early withdrawals, with my fellow Gen Zers taking early withdrawals at the highest rate. Again, do not overlook the importance of an emergency fund. If that emergency fund prevents you from withdrawing retirement funds, you're not only preserving retirement dollars today, but also preserving substantially more dollars decades from now. After retirement accounts, if you have children, the 529 should be on your radar. The 529 Education Savings Plan is a terrific way to save money for your child's educational pursuits by allowing you to invest in a tax advantage account. The money placed and earned in a 529 is meant to cover qualified higher education expenses like tuition and room and board, which are expenses that have been increasing exponentially. Tuition has far outpaced inflation and shows no sign of slowing down. The tax advantages of a 529 can include income tax deductions and tax-free earnings, but there's two things to consider with these accounts. First, keep an eye on the fee structure. Depending on who houses your account, you could be facing management fees that add up over time. Always look for cost-effective alternatives. And second, there's an element of timing involved. Most children will begin higher education at that 18-year mark, so the funds in a 529 better be available at that moment. But it's difficult to predict where asset prices will be at that exact date of your first tuition payment. So a more conservative approach to investing may be necessary, or some form of age-based allocation in which your investments become more conservative as your child gets older. Here's where I'll mention health savings accounts, or HSAs. Even though these accounts have some nice tax advantages, I don't want to place a priority on them for the simple fact that they involve making insurance decisions. In particular, choosing high deductible insurance plans. I don't believe it's necessary to include the HSA on this list. So after you've taken full advantage of the accounts we've discussed thus far, it's time to invest in a brokerage account. This is an account that is subjected to full taxation and is therefore also known as a taxable account. These accounts may not have tax advantages, but there is one major benefit to them. There are no limits on your contributions that can be withdrawn whenever you want. Having that flexibility is nice, but if you want to maximize your investments in this account, a long-term approach still makes the most sense. The taxes you'll pay on short-term capital gains are like paying taxes on your ordinary income, but compare that to long-term capital gains and you're taxed at the lower rates of 0, 15, and 20%. Oh, and remember to pick a brokerage account that is cost-effective. There is no reason to pay high fees for management and every little transaction that you make. Most of the large brokers like Fidelity have significantly reduced the cost of owning an account to compete with other brokers. I want to briefly mention an alternative way to allocate your money: credit card debt. In an economy where credit card debt is increasing at record pace and average interest rates are quickly approaching 20% plus, it is absolutely imperative that you manage any credit card debt you've accumulated. When you pay off your credit card debt, you have essentially received a percentage return on your money equal to the interest rate that you pay. So if your credit card accrues interest at 20%, you earn a 20% return on the money you use to pay the debt off. And that is one of the greatest investments you can make. Earning 20% on your money is ridiculously hard to do with traditional investments like stocks and bonds. But by paying off your credit card debt, you have saved your future self the burden of snowballing debt. So where does this fall on the priority list? Well, it depends on how bad the debt is. For most people, I'd say it's right there with your emergency fund. You'll hear me say this all the time. 20% interest on debt is large enough to sink anyone. Do not allow credit card debt to consume you if left unchecked. It will. And there you have it, how to prioritize where you put your money. You first have your monthly expenses, followed by your emergency fund. If you have credit card debt, pay that down. Then your savings for big purchases, max out your 401k or other employer-sponsored retirement account, then utilize either a traditional or Roth IRA. If you have children, take advantage of a 529 education savings plan, and then finally, contribute to your brokerage account. If you're still watching, I appreciate you sticking with me this long, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments. My question for you is this: how have you prioritized allocating your money? Is there something you think I'm overlooking? If so, let us all know what and why. As always, thank you for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself, and best of luck. My God, these lights are hot.